Council meeting to order May the 6th at 7 o'clock p.m. Any additions to the agenda? No additions to the agenda. Moving on with city comments. We'll allow 3 minutes and 1 turn per person.
Jason.
Hi here, bearing good news or potential good news. My name is Jason Murray. I'm the executive director at the Golden Belt Community Foundation. And so I get to play Santa Claus most of my time in my job. And so I'm not asking the city for anything. They said to consider some things in the future, and obviously this here in the middle, it's not anything that I'm asking for you guys to look at today necessarily, but as budget season comes up, it's something you guys might want to consider. I guess I might need to stand over here so everybody else can see me. Part of the things that I've been working on in the last year and a half is working on figuring out how to get youth to come back to our communities. Golden Belt Community Foundation serves 4 counties. We serve Stafford, Pawnee, Rush, and Barton County. And so I was able to go to all the high schools in our counties, and I conducted a 13 questions questionnaire with our senior classes to see what they like about the county, see what they're going into as far as post-secondary education, and to see what their passions are, and see what potential if they were going to come back to this area, whether it be the county specifically or even another town in rural Kansas. Most of them had indications that they would consider coming back. Some of the things they liked about places of St. John were the small, close-knit community, the people, and just feeling like they're a part of something. But the thing they don't like is that there's nothing to do, right? And so some of the things that I would like to encourage, as far as the high school, I'm looking at putting together what's called a youth philanthropic council and getting them involved in the community more, because we all know that there's a lot of things that we could be doing in the community. Obviously, you guys are playing your roles and be a part of the council members. I myself am a council member in Larned. So I know there's a lot of things to do in small towns. It's just getting the kids engaged, whether it's in junior high or in high school, to have them understand and build those relationships, to make them know that there is things to do here and for them to be active. One of the things that we can do as far as cities, counties, even foundations, we can participate in state programs, and one of them you guys may already know about is the Rural Opportunity Zone program. It's called the ROZ. And what they allow you to do is, if you fiscally sponsor any number, you can pick a number, but it's $1,500 per person that you sponsor for a 5-year span potentially. So that'd be $7,500. And then the state matches you dollar for dollar. So if you say you want to sponsor 2, then it'd be $3,000 a year that you may be liable for, which means that if a person wants to come to St. John, since you're the city entity, if they move back to St. John and they apply for this scholarship or debt reduction, the state would match you dollar for dollar. And so you would be committing $1,500 to them for 5 years if their student debt was $15,000 at the time of application. And so you would be putting in, the city would be putting in $1,500, the state would be putting in $1,500, so the recipient would be getting $3,000 for a 5-year span. Okay, so if they leave, then obviously their subsidization stops. But this program's been out there for quite a while. And Stafford County, out of the 4 counties that I service, is the only county that is not fiscally sponsoring in the county. And so in order for us to encourage or potentially have a recruiting tool to bring some of the youth back and market that aspect, now it's down to the city level or the employer level. Okay, so you guys would have the opportunity to bring somebody back, but now they would be destined to live in the city limits only for you guys as sponsor to be active. Okay, or say if somebody here, the employer, say Kansas or somebody else decided they wanted to sponsor, they could sponsor their own employee to bring that as a recruiting tool. So to me, as you get looking at the budget, $1,500, you probably want to talk to your accountant per se to see how you account for that liability on the city's books, because that potential is there, but you're not required to actually disperse the funds until somebody applies for it. And the application is done through the online website at the state level. You don't really do anything except for cut the check. Okay, eventually you probably know who the person was, once everything's said and done, but the state manages all the applications and taking care of the payment process. All they do is invoice you, okay, according to your resolution. And so that resolution is actually made each year of how many fiscal sponsors that you're willing to support. But again, you don't disperse the dollars until somebody is actually going to be coming back. So basically it's 100% return on your investment, because you're not spending it and having the dollars just sit there unless somebody applies. So that's one of the programs. I'm trying to work on what's called a Come Home Reverse Scholarship, which would mean the person cannot be living in the county yet, and they can't have a job, or the city at this situation can't have a job in the city. But this one here with the ROS program, they actually already have a city address. Okay, so they've already established roots. It's just the fact that they've had at least 2 years of education, and they're bringing back an at least associate's degree. It used to be a bachelor's degree, and now it's an associate's. So to me, it's one way that you can encourage the youth to come back to St. John. Some people say, well, I had to pay my student debt off. Why should I pay for somebody else's? They are looking to enhance the ROS program to where it'll actually assist with home ownership and some other parts of it. So that's in legislation right now, and so that might be active in 2026. And so that would be the time that your resolution actually goes into play. Okay, so there's an opportunity, if you set the budget, you set that up, you can sign that resolution, and then it would be active for 2026. So those are just some small things, but I am trying to get some things started in our schools and educate people within the cities and the counties of how we can stop what I call the brain drain and that situation happening all throughout rural Kansas. And so just asking for you guys to consider that, just because I think it would be beneficial to you. In addition, my 3 minutes are probably more than up, but the fact of the nature of it is we have a lot of grants, community building grants, a lot of youth grants available. And the one thing that I've been trying to do is write a lot of newspaper articles to indicate and educate people on what those look like, amongst other things that we may be able to help you guys. Tri-County newspaper, if anybody's in here, sorry, they don't do a great job of supporting Stafford County. A lot of stuff is south in the Pratt and even Greensburg gets more pubbed than what Stafford County does. So I was going to work with Pam to see if, as we have information, we send out newsletters to all of our donors, and if the city would like to get on that. I speak with Ryan and Carolyn all the time. They're fairly well aware of what's going on. We've supported, $10,000 went to your concession stand. We've done a lot of the tables and chairs for the farmers market, pickleball courts and things of that nature. But there's a lot of things that people don't realize that are available every single year at 2 different competitive grant cycles. So I wanted to make sure that people have that opportunity to know that they could apply. And any 501c3, or I think it's the 170c1s, city and governmental entities can apply for those. So just here to help you guys understand some potential out there, to work on some projects with you, and I'm here to help in any way, shape, or form. So it's a good public comment. Any questions?
You said that you're on McLaurin and City Council.
I am.
Do you guys, are you guys sponsoring?
Pawnee County sponsors
Pawnee
4.
County does.
And so that covers the whole county. And I've been working with City Council. It's kind of a little, different. I have to watch my conflict of interest a little bit. We don't get anything from this. This is all just between you and the state of Kansas. But I've indicated if the county ever starts falling behind on the waiting list, then the city needs to pick up and of the rest. So just a little bit, if you don't mind me sharing. The way this works is once you're on the list and your application's been accepted, you are the top one. So for 5 years, you're always going to get those dollars. And so if you had, say you came and you had $15,000 worth of student debt on the application, then you're going to get that $3,000 for 5 years. And whoever's number 2, if you only do one sponsor, is going to have to wait those 5 years. Now that application dollar stays solid, even though you're still having to pay down your student debt. It's just the fact that you're not going to get compensated for it until year 6. So there may be times where you have 1 or 2 on there. There may be times you have 5 on there. But you can always get that information from the state and figure out if you need to up your resolution to cover those people that might be in waiting. They're already living here. And so are you really gaining if they're already living here, but you might keep them here? You know, because if they move on year 6, you're not going to pay them back from years 1 through 5. They still have to be living here once those dollars get distributed. So you guys, Stafford again doesn't do any. Great Bend, Barton County's doing 10 now since I presented to them. And Rush County, I believe, is up there to 6. So Stafford right now, I presented to the county last year, and they decided to stay at 0. So that's why I wanted to start getting to all the cities in Stafford County to see at budget time if you guys would consider that, doing something, because you have to really understand how budgets work. You have to decide here probably by July if you're gonna do that type of situation. So anyway, you guys have my contact information if anybody has any questions or concerns or with anything in general, anything you want me to help with the city. If I can find some grant dollars, I'd be more than happy to help you. Okay, that's all I got.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Who wants to be first?
I'll go. I talked to Kyle a little bit this morning about it. I'm having sewer problems again up there at 708 North Main. And we looked through my mom's bookkeeping. I spent close to $3,000 on that sewer system. And that's not including the bill that I'm gonna have coming up from last weekend. So I just want to toss it out on the table to see what the city might be willing to do on any of that. Because I never back up unless the city backs up. And the city workers this time told me that they saw, and they did this too, they said chunks or bricks of grease coming through that pipe. So I don't know what we need to do about it, but just want to put that on the table for you guys to discuss. And I've talked to Davis's for me to put in a new sewer line. It's probably gonna be $5,000 to $10,000, but they also said we could put $2 million into that septic, jokingly, obviously, and it ain't gonna solve the problem. Because if I don't back up, it might be Aaron, and if he doesn't back up, it might be Jeff, or who else ever on that same line.
He's
But
the lowest.
I'm the lowest on that line, so I'm always the first one, and the only one that ever has to put up with it, because I always beat everyone else. So I don't know what you guys want to do about it, but I want it to be known that something's got to be done.
How long of a time frame was it that you were with no problem? Did you
Since
look at that?
you
Was it
guys
like a
redid
year?
yeah,
Was it longer than that?
yeah.
About a year. So did Jason Weary did that sewer line with the lining, and then that seemed to help for a while.
It did. Yeah.
So what are you seeing as the problem? Is it
When we went up
grease?
there, Brian called me and I went and helped him about midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. We sat there and had to get the bigger truck out to break through it. And then we broke through it, and then a bunch of soap and grease did come down it. And then the next morning he called me and said they were still having a little bit of problem. So I stewed on it a little bit, and I thought, no, I'm gonna go do it again just to cover it, make sure those guys get everything's cleared and clean. So I got the truck back out at 9 o'clock in the morning and went down and cleaned it twice and sucked all the stuff out of it. Which it was cleaner. I mean, it was a lot cleaner this time because we broke loose that night and got a bunch of that out of
But
there.
they're dumping grease again.
And somebody is. I'm not saying who. I don't know who. It's there's quite a bit of grease and soap in it. Yes.
What did we do last time to try to solve that, or did we do anything as far
So we
as?
sent a letter to the surrounding neighborhoods because we have no way of finding out exactly who causing that problem, to be obviously we have ideas, but we don't have proof of who did it. So we send letters out to all of that within that block. We sent it to everybody, and it stopped for a little bit. But
Which
maybe
block is it?
It'd be
700 blocks in
700
North
block,
Main.
right? That's it, right?
In between,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Between Main and Broadway, not Broadway, Main and Exchange, 700 block.
North end of town?
Yes.
So I only got, I think it's one more block of sewer line, right?
Right.
Yeah, so it's gotta be coming from the north of me.
Yeah.
it does flow south to 7th Street and then it goes west.
But didn't you say Jake's line was clean and then you pushed it out, and when you pushed it, it backflowed into his line and you had to do it again?
Well,
Or,
the way that works, I never have a problem until the city backs up. Whenever the city backs up, I always have to run my line. And we always pull junk out of my line. We do. But I never back up unless the city's backed up. And then, like I said, I have to run my line, which it's always on a weekend or it's always that.
Well, it backs up in your
Midnight.
basement.
Yeah.
Yeah, his basement's getting
pulled my-
flooded.
Bathroom tile floor, or not tile, what's that?
We just have laminate flooring,
Yeah.
but we pulled it 3 times and replaced it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, one, it's a huge health hazard, and 2, it's becoming very costly just to repair everything and replace everything.
but
And that's not including that floor. I don't think that's including any of that $3,000.
But Kevin Davis said today that it wouldn't do us any good to put, we could put a new line in, new sewer line for Jake, but he said it ain't gonna solve your problem until they get the problem solved.
And I didn't talk to Aaron because I thought he might be here, but I did reach out to Jeff and I told him about me raising my line. But if I would do that, I don't think it's going to make any of my neighbors very happy because, like I said, I'm always the first one to find out about it.
somebody else would be more.
Yeah, I mean, it's pushing off my problem to someone else's,
Right.
but it's not solving that the city backs up, and I'm always the first one to find out about it.
So there's nothing really we can do if we've already lined it as far as like improvement to the system as a whole. It's just what's going in it is causing
That's correct.
the backup.
So what avenues does the city have to rectify that situation?
The problem remains that we don't have, like, if we have proof of who's doing it, you know, because our sewer lines are all connected together, we're not sure where the grease is coming from. That's the hardest part. Once we able to identify the problems, then yeah, it would have been a lot easier just to
So
get
how
it
can
stopped.
that be done?
That's the question I can answer.
I mean, how do you monitor
So,
what's
you
coming through
can't.
everybody's sewer?
Is there regulation on dumping? I mean, I know
Yes.
like restaurants and stuff, they have to,
Traps.
there are, yeah. And so what is, I don't know anything about it, but I just know that we're just trying to figure out a resolution for Jacob.
And is there any other sewer lines that plug up with grease? Or is that the only one?
No, that one's, before we got it lined, it was a quite frequent thing, but after it got lined, I thought, boy, we cured the problem because we haven't had a call out on it forever.
Yeah, and we did.
And then just the other night, I thought, wow, man, here we go again. But I got to thinking how long it's been lined. I thought, well, what has it been, 2 to 3 years? I thought 1 out of 2 to 3 years ain't too bad. So I just thought, well, maybe we could do it on every quarter. Just go down there and rot it every quarter or something, and clean it out. Maybe we could do that for you, you know, and just try to do that, and try to keep it that way. Try to keep it clean that way. Because I was thinking, you know, when Brian called me, I was, well, but I just don't know what to do. I can't prove nobody. I don't know who's doing it, you know, and I thought, well, the only thing I could help the community do is rot it once a quarter, or, you know, every other month, and try to clean it with the truck.
I'm saying we've got all the equipment to do that.
And then we could do that, you know, just put it on the calendar every other month, go clean it. And we could try that.
What time and manpower does that take? Like what?
Oh, it's just an hour and a half,
Okay.
hour and a half to 2.
How many houses is north of there? Do we have any idea?
Just a
5 or
Be,
Well, it would be
25?
the 800 block that's coming down, and there's several houses in the 800 block on Exchange and Main, so.
between the 8 and 9,
Those two blocks.
between
full
9,
of
8,
houses.
7, it's those 2 blocks. I'm not sure how many houses are there.
We can send another reminder not to, like, certain things that are prohibited to be in the sewer line to that neighborhood again, just to, I mean, it did stop for a little while after those notice goes out, so.
I think we should do both because, I mean, long term, you put it on the calendar, but 10 years from now, and we have a different city manager and different city employees. I mean, maybe we don't, but it doesn't really solve the issue long term. If we're relying on somebody just to put it on the calendar, that one specifically needs to be rotted every 2-3 months. So I mean, I think we do both. I think we should send out a letter that states the ordinance of what can't go down the sewer system.
Do you have a spot, Jason, where you can get a camera in and kind of follow it up to each place and see if you can see?
That would be, that we'd have to call the mayors in to put the camera in. We personally don't have a camera to do that.
Is the grease in the same spot every time you go down there?
Well, you can't tell where it's at.
Well, I don't know where it's at.
Oh,
It just
No.
plugs the main, and then he blows up the main.
and then
It
it's all
is
grease in one.
plugged up. It is plugged up on the other side of the north of that manhole on 8th Street, and it was plugged in between 8th and 7th before.
There's like 14 houses on that sewer line.
If it's coming from one place, would you see that more in their line than everybody else's, or is it?
Well, the thing of it is, the problem of it is when they take their camera through there, they have to clean it. They'll clean it 2 or 3 times just to make sure all the debris is out, so the camera won't get caught and, make sure it's all clean, so they can sit there and see that, they don't visualize it, the grease and everything like this. They actually look for cracks, stuff like that in there. So they no matter what, even if there was buildup of grease and everything, they would clean that out completely before they run the camera through there. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, that does.
Is there a family up there with a food truck that cooks north of me?
They don't have the food truck anymore, they opened a restaurant in Griffin.
Okay.
They used to be.
That's what we always used to think the problem was.
Maybe they need a letter.
So, if I have any problems going forward, do I pay for that, or does the city help pay for that? I guess I just don't know. I spent thousands of dollars on a problem that should not be mine.
Jason, you said it takes approximately about an hour?
Hour and a half.
An hour and a half, okay, and how many people? 1, 2?
2.
2
It
people?
was 2 the other night.
All right. And if we do this on a regular schedule, it would be something that your department could handle pretty regularly?
Yeah.
So it really wouldn't have to, there be no money out of pocket from?
No, I mean, if it happened again,
Right.
he really, the best thing to do, especially if it's at midnight, is just, instead of calling them, call dispatch and just say, hey, have the city come down here once again
Right.
and look at it.
Right. Well, I agree.
And then that way it'd save his pocketbook, and then
Right.
and then it's gonna be, if it's gonna be like it was the other night, it was darn sure our problem. It was
I
darn sure
agree.
a plug on
Do
it.
you have the equipment to route his system to, like, when you go out and do the whole sewer line, to go in to his
No.
sewer line and
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I think that's a great idea. I really do. And I'm all for it. But, like I said, every time that the city plugs, no matter what, I have to run mine. Because I'm lower, and whatever plugs or whatever shoots down my line. So even if you do this every month, if someone just goes and dumps a bunch of grease or whatever, this and that, if you guys back up, I'm running my line no matter what.
But if they clean it, once a month, it shouldn't be that much in there to back you up. It shouldn't, but.
Well, it shouldn't, but if
That's the
someone
problem, is
still
dumping
does.
a lot.
Right,
Yeah.
see, that's what I was telling you earlier, Davis just came out, rooted each line, couldn't find nothing, they came out, cleaned it, after they cleaned it, it came back, it filled his line back up, and then Davis had to run it again, because after the city cleaned theirs, sewer, it pushed up into Jake's line coming back.
It's because his line is lower, so.
And like I said, we talked to Kevin today, and he figured out what it would cost us to put a new sewer line in, but he said that ain't gonna solve your problem. He said you're still gonna have the same issues, because this line's not that bad, that they can tell.
So the grease dumping is our only solution for that to stop.
Right.
That's foolproof. Maybe we can run it every other month, but
But that's
that's no
costing you
guarantee.
guys too.
Yeah, and it's
I
no
mean-
guarantee. I mean,
Right,
if it's
exactly.
a large supply or,
You know, sometimes there'll be a bunch of the blue rags down there, but it was so dark I couldn't actually see it. But I did, the white grease puffs, or the pocket things, you could actually see them flow because it reflects the light of the flashlight. And I could see those, but as far as because a lot of times we'll have a plug and there'll be a bunch of blue rags, somebody will flush blue rags down there, and then we'll break through that and then pull up, and it'll be nothing but a big ball of blue rags there too. So I'm just throwing whether that was part of the problem, I do not know. I just couldn't see that night, it was so dark when we were doing it. But I did see the soap and the grease balls coming out quite a bit, because it was pure white and it reflects the light pretty good, so I seen that.
so say in 2 weeks you went and ran the line, would you be able to tell if there was any sort of grease still being dumped?
Oh yeah, you'll
It
see
just
it. I
hasn't
mean,
plugged up yet.
if I'm pulling it back, you'll see it.
At all, where you'll know this is still a clean line, flowing fine.
Will grease automatically just get stuck in there, or will some grease flow?
It'll flow, but then if the flow just dies down, you know, like overnight, and there is hardly no flow, then it just like grease is going to stick to anything. That's the problem. Because we rotted that line one time before it got rotted, or before it got lined, and we pulled when we were coming back with our reel, it was our line is orange, and it was pure white the whole way around. It was just pure white, and it was dripping muck off of the grease off of it. So I understand what you're saying completely.
For sure. Well, that's where I don't think it's a build-up type deal, because I also have a drain on my basement floor that is, well, I don't know. I guess I don't know how it's plumbed, but before we did all this work to my house in the floor, there was basically if I backed up, it would come up, and sometimes you can see that and be like, okay, well, I'll wait a little bit and go take my shower or whatever. But I mean, we haven't had water coming up in that floor for a long time now. So I don't think it's a slow, gradual buildup. To me, it's a
Dumping a bunch at once.
yeah, because I haven't had a lick of trouble since we've redone that sewer. Not a lick.
Yeah,
Haven't
I just-
ran my line, haven't nothing.
Thought our problem was solved for leaking. We're having trouble.
No. Life was good.
Well, we haven't run that. We haven't rotted that at all since that's the line.
Well, yeah, we haven't had an issue ourselves.
When we rot it, whether you backed up or not, do you have to re-rod your line?
If the city's plugged,
Well, but I'm saying like, we do this every 2 months. Are you gonna have to clean yours every 2 months?
That's what I was wondering.
Because we've
I
pulled
don't
stuff
really know.
into it.
Because I don't know if you guys have ever done it without it being plugged since I've lived there.
Well, I tell you what, after 1st of June or whatever, we can do it again. Just see while you're there.
No, it's no problem with me.
And then,
I don't know if they'll shoot anything in or not.
because yours being the lowest, we'll have to tell everybody there, get word out, because I'll shoot 25 to 3,000 psi of pressure through that just to clean it. And it'll back up into people's, if we don't want you to be careful, it'll back up into your bathrooms and stuff. So I just have to put some door knockers out, and let people know that we're gonna do that, so it won't cause another problem somewhere down the line there.
But yeah, whether I plug or not, every time the city plugs, $500 bill for me. Whether it's my problem or not. So, just wanted to,
No fun.
yeah.
I think we should do what we can to keep the problem that,
To minimize.
if we're doing all that and there's still a problem, then we gotta find a way to find the problem so the problem stops if it's dumping grease. And I don't know how we can, if we don't know who it is,
Well,
we
that's why I
can't
was
find
asking
or.
Jason about the camera, if there's some way where we can figure out this is where it's coming in from, yeah, I think we could
You
definitely
could do a
something.
fine system or something,
Yeah.
right, through municipal court or something.
Yeah.
if they were-
And maybe
You'd
even
have to
cut them
apply
off
their
if
proof.
they're,
I mean, that's
Yeah.
gonna be tough.
Yeah.
The last thing I'll say is the last time this happened, I thought I heard that you guys were sending letters to a certain person, and like it was their third and last strike, and the next time it happened, they were going to be shut off. I thought we had a pretty good idea of who this was last time.
I wasn't aware
So that
of
was before my
that.
time on council.
I
Yeah,
think
you
we-
weren't on
I think that was speculation, we
Okay.
thought who it was, but I don't know that we could prove it or pinpoint it.
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
that's the big problem right there. So, I think just taking the steps of sending out letters again, and Jason maybe getting this on the schedule and keeping the lines of communication open, with all parties, make sure that everyone knows what's going on, and we can try to mitigate it as much as possible, so you don't have to have a $500 bill every time, or even higher,
Yeah.
every time this happens. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel for you, man. I mean, that's probably no fun. I mean,
No.
so, yeah.
First week I moved in there, the city backed up, I think 3 times.
Oh, jeez.
That was a brand new bathroom.
What's the equipment needed to be able to rod consumer lines and not our lines? Like, what would you need to be able to do that?
Yeah. Well, the actual machine would be those I don't even know what they're called, a snake
Yeah.
that they run, it goes around like this, and they just keep feeding it through there.
I guess my question is that a tool that we as a city should have at our disposal just to service our community in a need, like for this, like he wouldn't have to call Kevin when it's our problem, when we know it's our problem. Like, we have the people who can do that if we have the tool to do it. Is that something that we should have as a city? I mean, it's not the sewer line in your yard is your property, right? So theoretically, we should never have to do that.
Right.
But this is a unique situation.
Yeah.
But it may not be a bad tool to have in our arsenal for when this happens.
I'm guessing that's why we've never had one,
Well,
is because we don't,
We don't.
You know
own
what
it.
I mean?
There shouldn't be a reason
when
we
it's
need it.
someone's sewer line that is the problem and not our fault, then we don't wanna be
Yeah.
but this
There's a
isn't
liability
that
issue.
situation, but
Right. This is a very unique
I'm
situation.
guessing that's why we've never had
And that's why I think you need to find the source the best you can, because it's costing you guys money, it's costing him money, and it really shouldn't be an issue. It
No,
really
it
should not be an
just
issue.
be neighborly and know that if it's causing somebody a problem, you just don't do it, but
Yeah.
that's not how things work.
Right.
So, because, like I say, it's costing you guys money to have him go out there and do that once a month or every 2 months or whatever. So,
Is there any kind of food trucks or anything up in north of you?
I don't know. I really don't know if there's,
There used to be, but
Yeah.
I think I know they opened a restaurant up in Great Bend, but I don't know if they still operate that food truck or not since they have an actual restaurant now.
Where would they normally take the grease?
I don't know how food trucks where you can dispose of that.
I mean, like the grocery store has a
Their own
2-yard
dumpster.
Yeah, the 2 cubic yard dumpster that's specific for food grease, and then it gets hauled off somewhere.
I mean, I heard they had a pretty good Cinco de Mayo party, so I don't know if they cooked up a bunch
I
for that.
did think of that too. I wondered if the city had
Was
access
this-
for people to
Was
dump
this
grease, if that would
Monday
help.
night? Or was that just last night?
It would have been Saturday night, so I mean, they would have to pre-cook it, but if they had a huge deal, you know, just throw it in something to warm it up after it's cooked, but.
Yeah. Does that grease that come out there, is that like from a one-time dumping, or is that like several dumpings, or can you really tell?
Now that I can't tell.
Okay.
Now that I
Right,
can't
okay. Well, you're supposed to know everything.
I would assume that if it's a brick or a blob, that's a one-time deal.
Well,
It
like,
looks-
Why else would it
honestly,
fall
what they look like is little black the white charcoal briquettes. That's exactly what they look like when they come floating around. They look just like charcoal briquettes, except white.
Yeah, cause I feel like if it was built up, it would like, I don't know, be a slow stream maybe. But if it's a ball, to me that sounds like a dump, but I'm not sure, guys, I don't know.
It may be one way if you could mark it where they could put it and send out in your newsletter or whatever. Hey, if you have this substance, please make sure you're taking it here. Give them a solution compared to them obviously going against ordinances, but that doesn't seem to affect them, you know?
What is it, I wonder who at the grocery store we could ask what it costs them to have that grease dump, cause you could just put that with the scrap dumpster over by the power plant and just have a specific cooking grease available dump for people if they wanted it.
You can talk to the deli manager, they'd be the ones to,
Yeah.
let you know.
Cause I don't know if Under Brothers is dumping that or who's doing it, but it might be worth just
a
having a
lot
spot
of
to
other
do it.
people might utilize that too,
Yeah, I know,
honestly.
I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
It might be something to look and see what a cost of a container, a storage container to do, and perhaps even, maybe even a machine so we could have it on hand, you know, to help Jason and whoever needs to go down there and do what they need to do. Just to get an idea of what it might cost the city to purchase something like that.
Yeah, let's see what that costs, cause to Mr. Murray's point, I mean, you can tell somebody no, but if they don't have a solution, then
Right.
they're
Yeah.
likely to just go back to what they
And like
Do
you said
the
a moment
easy
ago.
Yeah, exactly, so if
Yeah,
you
like
say
you said,
no,
it
but
might be
here's the
something
solution.
that other people would take advantage of, and I'm sure that they would.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of other people that do a lot of cooking and stuff that
Yeah.
would utilize.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean-
I mean, I don't know it's gonna be a big hit, but if it doesn't cost a lot of money,
Right.
it's a way to have a solution for, that might.
Hopefully they help fix that problem, you don't have to worry about it, so, at least it'll be way out of your mind.
So,
It's the same with motor oil too, where people put the motor oil, changing your lawnmower oil and your car oil, where do people take it? 'Cause a lot of people use that for heating. There's heating furnaces that use oil, but I don't know, you know, for a small community, where do you take it? People dump it in their yard, and you might be able to have a dual solution to help clean up other areas too that you may not really be aware of, but they're doing it. You know, contaminating your groundwater, but, so it might be a dual, but then you might have to put a camera up there too to make sure people isn't just dumping everything in these grease traps. So,
Does
yeah,
Golden Belt Community Foundation have some?
Hey, it is community building, right? And helping I've seen weirder things, so I'm here to help, whatever, but I'm just trying to think of possible solutions, but then when you come up with one solution, it might create another problem. So it's hard to cover all aspects.
We do have a lot of cameras up there though, so.
That'd be ideal, because we already have cameras.
no, last thing, I will say, I do appreciate the city being pretty understandable on that, coming up and at least getting it opened up, so. I do appreciate that.
I think we ought to do some research to find out what the problem is.
It might be a little difficult, but yeah, I agree, I think we should try.
I don't know where it is for sure. I can drive them streets and see something center. He might be cooking hog.
Have a stakeout, have the cops just sit there looking.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Hopefully we can get something, solved for you.
That'd be cool.
Moving on is
See you guys.
Thanks for coming.
any other citizen comments?
Thanks, guys.
Have a good one.
Yeah, take care.
Consent agenda. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes of regular council meeting April 15th of 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve regular council meeting minutes, April 15th, 2025.
Second.
Got a motion on the table with Mark Bryant, second by Aaron Gleason. All in favor? All opposed, passes 3-0. Entertain a motion, appropriation ordinance 04-15-25.
Correction, it's 05, 06, 25 AP. So sorry.
05, 26.
05, 06, 25 AP.
I make a motion to approve appropriation ordinance number 050625 AP in the amount of $311,432.33.
Second.
Motion on the table by Kyle, second by Mark Bryant. All in favor? Passes 3-0. Entertain a motion for EBH and Association for $4,600.
Make a motion to approve EBH and Associates invoice for the amount of $4,600.
Motion on the table.
Second.
And a second. All in favor? All opposed? Passes 3-1. I'd entertain a motion KMEA Midstate for $2,879.29.
Make a motion to approve KMEA Midstate invoice in the amount of $3,879.29.
Motion on the table by Mark Bryant. Here a second.
Second.
Second by Aaron Raines. All in favor? All opposed? Passes 3-0. Department heads, electric department, Curtis.
I got nothing exciting.
You what?
I got nothing exciting.
Okay. Council, got any questions for Curtis? Water department, Jason?
I don't have nothing exciting either.
Council, got anything for Jason?
The only thing I have is for parks, the rubber mulch over there, we built it up. Might take a couple links out of the baby swing. The kid's legs hit the ground now and slow. So might just go over and chop a couple of the links off.
That one available to try it out.
But that's the only thing I have.
Okay.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions for Jason? Moving on, police department, Tori, got anything?
Practice that, huh? Not a lot.
Nothing? Have, council got any questions for, police chief? Okay, moving on, Mike?
Nope.
And that brings us to Pam.
All I have is under new business unless you guys have questions for me on my report.
Council got anything for Pam off of her report?
Very self-explanatory in my opinion.
Do we need to do anything if we're paying off the nitrate plant loan? Do we
No,
need to?
so we just approve, it's in this appropriation, so when we send a check,
Okay.
they're preparing the amendment, so once that's done, then you guys have to approve it, and then he will sign it, and send it back to the state.
For it to be done.
Yes.
Okay. So when do we need to take the loan payoff charge off the utilities and possibly add the increase?
I would like to wait until we sign that amendment, just to be 100% sure that we're done.
Okay.
So I'm going to keep on the KDHE trying to get that done at least before the end of June so we can start, have the ordinance ready and implemented
July.
for July. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Just wanna make sure we were timing that.
Yes,
The right
I
time.
didn't have all of the details and all of the thing that I need as far as that ordinance goes to be solid enough to present to you just yet. I'm waiting on a couple things. Once I have that information, then I'll present a draft and then you guys can look at it and see what you like to take off or add and we'll just pass it later.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Anything else for Pam, county council? Moving on, city attorney, Danny, anything?
Just a couple things. I think the easements for Fifth Street will be signed next weekend. Pam's been generous enough to pop in on a Saturday and help get stuff notarized. So that should get those done and that part of the project on. Reached out to the homecoming hall, missed them by phone, sent an email. It sounds like they are interested in the windows in that church. So I think hopefully I'll have a better conversation with them and come back to you guys with an update on that, where we want to go from there.
Just donate them, right? They just probably have to be the ones responsible to get them out.
I think so, and he's still got his October 1st date. That's the date in his mind. But
He's so willing to donate the building.
yeah, I think he is. He's been in a good mood the last couple times I've talked to him. So,
That would be the simplest solution.
and if they want the windows and can get some kind of benefit out of that, and waiting 5 months is what it takes.
Yeah, I think the land bank looking over that, discuss it.
Yeah, and I think that's the other question, is that something land bank wants?
My opinion, probably no, but yes, just,
Yeah.
then we're in control of, we could get it boarded up maybe a little better and just.
So it's probably more of a liability than anything, but at least we would be able to control it and not have to wait for the court to give us permission to do all these things.
And maybe we can, we've asked for donations before on stuff, maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know if it might take a long time, but maybe we could come up with the money over time, get it going.
Is it possible to push the deadline up? Because I know that we got complaints about part of the roof. You know, when the winds are blowing really hard, you can see it flip up and the surrounding neighbors are scared that part of that is gonna blow off and hit their houses.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if we wanna wait till October 1st or is there anything that we can do to get that?
Well, surely, if, depending on when or how the
Yeah.
windows can be taken out, if they're taken out, surely he would.
Can we
Sure, leave
acquire
that.
the building and then let them do it later?
Yeah. Well, and maybe if he's aware that his property is a potential liability to other people, he could be on the hook for that. He may not want to hold on to it that long either. Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of liabilities, the city owns the old leisure building, correct?
The land bank does,
So the
yes.
land bank does. I drove by behind it, and I happened to look in, and there's quite a few windows that have been broken out, and I'm wondering.
I talked to Jason already.
Okay.
He got it on his schedule to.
Well, I'm wondering, have you been in the building?
For a long time.
I'm just curious if there's been any vandalism in there, because there's a couple of, I live right next door, and there's been a couple of times I could have swore I saw a flashlight in there, but, you know, I looked and it was gone, so I don't know. So, I may have been just seeing things, I'm getting to that age. So.
It was stripped pretty clean.
It's pretty clean.
Yeah. I mean, there's.
Well, there could be teenagers getting in there and
Oh, I mean, it's definitely
trashing
not,
it.
It's
I mean,
definitely not closed, but it is.
Yeah.
It has been stripped, like walls open, copper pole.
Oh.
I mean, it's been stripped.
Yeah.
And that was a year ago.
Right.
Yeah, just need to get it
It
going.
needs to be gone.
Yeah, yeah.
Any questions for Danny from council? Other than what's been discussed? Old business, Fifth Street. I think we covered that. Anybody got any comment? The fountain, I think they've got it back in. The second time or third time or something. I don't know. New business, CMB license for the Jubilee.
Just needed approved. I'll make a motion to approve the CMB license for the city for Jubilee.
Second.
Got a motion on the table and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor? All opposed? That's a 3-0. Entertain a motion for the second one?
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2025-09, special event permit for the beer garden.
09 or 10?
09.
Okay.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? Got one more, looks like.
Make a motion to approve resolution number 2025-10, special event permit for MERS.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
My only, if I read this right, it'll be basically from, say, 2 to 4 o'clock all the way to 11:45, right? It'll be a pretty long stretch of being closed, which I think it's, I just wanted to make sure I understood that. It would be a pretty
Yep, she wants to make sure that she doesn't take people away from our
stuff.
event.
So she's basically starting it, once Jubilee is concluding,
Correct.
then she has a spot
Yes.
for,
Yeah, and that's
Yeah,
fine.
the closing ceremony is at 2.
yeah, so.
And you've got all the permissions from like Donna and the other.
Sure.
groups
Yeah,
over
I
there.
just
I mean, yeah,
was
that's
making
good.
sure I understood.
Right,
the
right.
Time.
Mhm.
No, it looks like she's gonna have security and hopefully it goes well for her.
Got a motion and a second. Any more? All in favor? All opposed? That's 3-0.
Who seconded?
I did.
And- Okay, I would entertain a 3-minute executive session for non-elected personnel. Take time.
I'd make a motion to go to executive session to discuss non-elected personnel to return back at 7:55.
Second.
Council meeting in the executive session, be back at 7:55.
We didn't vote.
Oh, we didn't?
No, we got it.
Fast 3-0. Call council meeting back to work.
I'd make a motion to hire Zoe Carter for lifeguard at the amount of $8 per hour.
Second.
Got a motion by Kyle and a second by Mark. Any more discussion? All in favor? All opposed?
I'd make a motion to hire Alan Moore as seasonal help for the summer at $19 per hour.
Second.
Got a motion by Aaron, a second by Mark. Any more discussion? All in favor? Passes 3-0.
I'd make a motion to adjourn regular council meeting May 6, 2025.
Motion on the table to adjourn here, second.
Second.
And a second by Mark Bryant. Any more discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Passes 3-0.